Palin, Planning, and Nicholas West.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We put this on here, sorry for any confusion, but this wasn't for any discussion or anything like that, it was just to provide an update. Very similar to the board meeting, a couple board meetings ago, just to keep the board updated. I would say it's not really appropriate to really have discussion at this time. Planning Commission is still in the process of drafting it, so they do hold public meetings. Those meetings are open for public comment. They are statutorily responsible for drafting the ordinance and then making a recommendation to the board of trustees. So they're still in that process. They will have more public meetings. They will hold a public hearing, and then we'll come with recommendation to the township board, and there'll be another opportunity for the public to speak at that time. This was just an update. The reason we did this is because the township board did direct the planning commission to draft the ordinance. Everyone's going to be here tonight, so we thought we'd provide an update. So where it stands as of right now, they have had discussion a few times. They have brought some experts in, kind of trying to define the terms, what different types of data centers are, where they belong, how they fit in Chesterfield. We've had Township Fire Department come in, Township Water and Sewer Department. At our last meeting, we just had a acoustician from KMS Engineering that the township has hired on retainer to help us draft noise regulations. Through that process, we think the best approach is to amend the performance standards in the ordinance when it comes to noise, and that would regulate all uses in the township, not one specific use, whether it be data centers or anything else. So right now, where we stand is, I would say, that's been described by a two-part, one being the noise section of the ordinance, and then the other being the data centers themselves, which the plan right now was to have kind of an outline of what that ordinance would look like at the next planning commission meeting, be some draft form of that where we can really start getting into the nuts and bolts of that and break it down. And then once we get that finalized, we would schedule a public hearing, and then we should make a recommendation to the township board. I think that generally covers it. I don't know if Joe or Ray have anything to add to that. Yes, which is,
I believe it's June 21st.
yes, June 21st. July. Yeah, so July 21st will be on the agenda for the planning commission. And that is discussion on the ordinance, not just an update.
Thanks, sir. Any questions from the board? Joe, got any? Trustee Joseph.
I brought an ordinance forward in January. The discussion prior to the agenda item was actually in November or December 25. And the request at that time was for a moratorium on data centers. It was advised by our council that the moratorium was not an effective strategy to defend against data centers moving in. I worked with Mr. Siebert to draft the language in all of my conversations with planning. Mr. Siebert, it was seen when the discussion on the moratorium was being had that we didn't need a moratorium, that there was a very straightforward mechanism for amending our ordinance to strengthen and change. That process is now 6 months or so in, and we don't have anything to look at in terms of a draft. We have a number of discussions, and in short, I think it's taking too long. And I would like our planning consultant. I understand that there are public hearings and such that need to take place, but the taxpayers are very, very concerned. They deserve to know that our ordinance is commensurate with what we want, which is absolutely no data centers in our township. And I don't think that this is controversial among the board. We don't always see eye to eye on issues. It's something that would be devastating to our community, regardless of where you stand on other issues. I think we're all unified in that. And, the idea of, 6 months elapsing, we have a special board meeting, a lot of people came out to hear, what we're doing to protect them from the data centers, and we offer them nothing but, next month, we're gonna have a discussion. It's just moving very slow, and I would like to, re-engage our township attorney on the prospect of a moratorium. We see other communities utilizing that mechanism. Perhaps a moratorium is now appropriate, to allow us the extra time that's needed in the planning commission to get this ordinance in place, but, it is, I think, something that we are all in agreement in. Data centers cannot come here, they don't belong here, and we need ordinance quickly, to address that. Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Trustee Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would agree with, previous speaker, but one thing, as a member of the Plan Commission, I'm coming to learn that it's not just a simple process to just say we're not going to have a certain type of building or construction in the township. We have to look at it in a holistic manner, and that is what is being done. So I think that what I'm looking forward to is the end result will be something better than what we had thought it was going to be when we first had the idea of, talking about the data centers and coming up with a policy regarding that. So, I agree it's taking a long time, but I think that's in the best interest of everyone, and we are deliberately looking at various options. Thank you.
Thank you. More comments? Trustee Fields, to your point, Director Palin's been given the directive and the mandate, any resources he needs from the board to bring in experts or whoever he feels necessary that the planning commission needs. He has a wide range to bring them in, and, I like you, let's get this done over. Any further comments? Mr. Leonard, I'll turn it over to you, if you have any questions for your board.
I'll start from right to left. Mr. Renault?
I don't have any questions, but I would like to reiterate what Ms. Mossberg had actually stated. Could we move quicker and just slap something on the book? Sure we could. Or do we do our due diligence and do it right from the get-go? We're not fixing our mistakes 2 years from now. I know on the internet, there's a lot of people that are worried, oh, data centers are coming. Not a single thing has been brought to this board. We're not aware of anyone that's coming to this board. I know there's a lot of trolling online when people are insinuating this is gonna happen. But no one comes to any of our meetings to find out what's going on, to see is this really happening, and it's not. No one approached us. None of us are necessarily in favor, but we are doing our due diligence. Now, we'd rather get it right the first time than sit there and rush to the end and have to fix something because we have unintended consequences because we rushed it and missed something big, and then something gets to come in here. So I'd rather get it right, and I think we are doing that. That's all.
Thank you. Broker?
I agree with you, Mr. Joseph. I think it's going slowly, but it's going thoroughly. A moratorium is, in my understanding, is either 30 or 60 days. So if a moratorium is something we want, yeah, I think we need more than 60 days to get this done. But with or without the moratorium, we're gonna get it done and it's gonna be right. And I think you guys are gonna appreciate the recommendations we make.
Thank you. Mr. Bell?
Just so that people know what has transpired over the last 6 months. I personally have been to a data center, visited a data center. I personally have worked with them. I had an opportunity to sit at Macomb Community College and where they brought in experts to discuss truly what a data center is. We are doing our homework. We have been doing, in my opinion, a wonderful job. And we're getting closer and closer every day, so I will suspect we're gonna see a quality product. It's not gonna be rushed through like in adjoining townships. ordinance has shown to be. And, with that, just please be patient. We don't know of anything, and when we get done, it'll be right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I will preface my statement with, I'm new. However, I was at the last meeting where the acoustician was present and provided expert testimony. I can say from my vantage point, my priority is about being proactive and thinking about the future state and what might even surpass data centers, or how regulations for them or new facilities could be created in the future. So from my vantage point, it's about being proactive and getting it right now to perhaps plan for what we don't even know could come next, and ensuring that the health and safety of everyone is at the forefront, whether we're working in that facility or it's in our residential areas.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I mean, I think everybody kind of hit it, but the research that I've been doing, I've had some exposure to data centers, so I know a little bit about the construction of them. I did agree with the moratorium. I thought that was a good idea, but that was when I educated myself on them, they're short. So that was because I thought the same thing, because obviously when I was researching it from a legal perspective, so two things I learned. One was that is a good idea, but they're short, so I don't know how that works. And then the second part was, legally, I don't think we can restrict them from coming here. At least that's the research that I've done. So it's gonna come down to the details of our ordinance, of how we, if they do come to our community looking to invest in this area, what type of restrictions can we put on them to make sure it's done in a harmonious way that is beneficial to our community? Because again, what I've researched and what I know about them, the moratorium is a great idea. I just don't know how the time durations work with aligning with us getting an ordinance, a comprehensive ordinance out that again protects us from the extent of the development, to make sure it protects us as a community. And getting into the details of it, there's a lot of details of a data center. I worked on smaller ones, which I would think would be really the only thing that would fit in our community. But if, by some chance, a larger one could come in, there's a lot of details that we gotta make sure we're protecting ourselves with. And that's where the time comes from, and the education. I know I've been doing it, I know a lot of the guys who do it as well, so that's really all I had. That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Thank you. Mr. Hart?
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of more information for developments between, information building, development, site, a lot more than the standard application that comes to our agenda. So, like I said, like everybody else said, we want to do it right. We have all the information. Every meeting we've had an expert that had some great information on data centers. I've learned a lot from the past. So at that point, like I said, we're going to do it right to make sure that it does come in, that we have all of our ducks in order. So, thank you.
Thank you. And I don't have a lot to say, it's all been covered, but, when we were, the planning commission was tasked with dealing with, cannabis, facilities. That was voted on by the residents, and we had to deal with it. And we took our time, and we were as thorough as could be. We didn't wanna have a bunch of lawsuits like a lot of the other communities had, that jumped in and made a lot of bad decisions, and there was lawsuits. To my knowledge, I don't think we ever had one lawsuit once we came up with, the information and the ordinance. They're all in M1, M2, so you're not seeing them all over the place. We were challenged recently, it was last year, somebody wanted to be a little closer to it. Made it 1,000 feet away from a residential, they were 700 or 750 feet, never went anywhere. They wanted us to amend the ordinance, and we weren't gonna do that, because we're not gonna cherry pick it for a bunch of different reasons. As far as the data centers, so I think we've done okay. I think that there's 4, maybe 5 that have been approved. I think only 1 or 2 of them may be open. I'm not even sure, because they're off the deep pad. You can't see it unless you drive to it anyway. So, but with the data centers, one of the things that I have heard is the federal government might get involved there might be some kind of mandate in place, eventually, because if all the communities opt out, where are they gonna go? Everybody says, no, not my backyard. So I'm not sure how much teeth we'll have to block it, but I know we've got a lot that we can put into doing it right, and I heard that mentioned a couple times. That's the whole thing. Not fast, right. And we weren't fast with the marijuana, but I think we did it right, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna get this right as well, along with anybody else that's involved with it. So, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion on item, 6B, center update? Trustee.
Yeah, just to the planning commission members themselves, that is not a criticism. My concern about speed was not criticism on your part at all. I was part of this group, and I know many of you, and I know the seriousness with which you take your task. And Mr. Leonard, you're 100% right. The cannabis ordinance was difficult based on the wording of the ballot initiative and what you had to work with. And you did a nice job of crafting an ordinance that did not result in the litigation that we saw in other communities. The frustration on my part was go back and watch the meeting in January and early, late December, when we were discussing the moratorium. I had proposed it, and I had actually come prepared with a like moratorium ordinance that had been passed and adopted in another community. Our township attorney saw it completely different in terms of the moratorium effectiveness. And during those discussions, and I don't want to go back and have a verbatim, because I couldn't, but the discussion was, it led me to believe, and I think a number of other board members, that the task of realigning our ordinance would not be as detailed and complicated as you described. So the original proposal for a moratorium was actually 6 months, and that was, I thought, enough time to work out. However, the attorney felt that it was just wasted energy, that it would not hold up if we were to be challenged, and so we went this route. The only other thing that I would say in terms of the response of like we don't have any applications for, or I don't think that we will ever get a forewarning. Watching some of these data center operations take root in other communities, there was a tremendous amount of work done before the board, before the city council, before the municipality was ever aware. There were negotiations with DTE that were not part of the elected officials. So we do have, I think, land in this township that could conceivably be at least attempted, and every day that goes by, it makes me a little uneasy. And so I will be patient as you've asked, and I have great respect for you. But I don't think that the lion's share of the lifting is done by the commission. We have, the taxpayers, pay for a full-time planner and a planning consultant. And I think the shaping of your discussions, the experts that are brought in, should be orchestrated by those two entities and not necessarily you. So I will stand down and remain vigilant but patient, and I appreciate your work immensely. Thank you.
Anything for the council report? Yes, I'll try.
I just wanted to add to that, the moratorium I agreed on when I first heard it come up. I think it was Sterling Heights, months ago, we're trying to, put a moratorium in place for 1 year, which I thought, that's good, you know, gives you plenty of time to study. But apparently, that was a wish list, that was something they wanted to do, apparently, you can't do it, it's 90 days. So, I was in favor of it, but short term, it doesn't do us much good, but we're constantly discussing it, at our meetings, even if it's not an agenda item, we might, you know, have some comment about it, so. I think we'll all do a good job, I think we'll come out of this okay.
Any more comments? That being said, I'll close the discussion on item